You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 3rd meeting for the LaPorte County Soil and Water Conservation District Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
We'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is approval of previous meeting minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the previous.
And we need a second. Anything on the question? Those in favor? Aye. Need approval of treasurer's report.
Motion approved.
And we need a second.
Second that.
Anything on the question on the treasurer's report? Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You know how that works. If you oppose it, you get the job.
Yeah.
We'll go to activity reports, staff.
I will go first because I will be fast. We did receive our county appropriation for the year, $700 from the county. And also we did receive the $5,000 NIPSCO grant that Linda had procured to be used for River Days. And one thing I wanted to bring up with respect to River Days, I have a meeting with Scott Pilath next week to have a serious discussion about the future of their funding, because he made it sound like they may not be funded by the state themselves, let alone have funding for these types of events. So I'm going to get a little more detail on that. If anybody else wants to be in on that meeting, I can invite you, let you know when it is. But it doesn't sounds a little grim right now for that.
So the legislature is not supporting the commission?
He made it sound like they may possibly not. It wasn't like a done deal, but he has fears.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Paul can talk a little more. We do have our legislative breakfast speaker nailed down, and then we have a backup as well, Amber's boss. And Elizabeth has started work on the invitations. Those should be done within the next week or so.
When's the meeting with PLAF?
Next Tuesday, I'll invite you. I'll send you guys an invite.
Okay. Anything else, Chris?
I did talk to Stark County director regarding, because they have been working much more closely with us with respect to River Days, and she agreed to facilitate the school registration and scheduling for this year. So I won't have to worry about that, nor will the new person can get as involved in it as they want. But yeah, that's enough. That's enough for now.
Okay. Paul?
Okay, I'll try to go through some stuff and be as fast as I can. The first thing I'd like to update you on is our advancements with the intern management plan. We have 2 interns, Casey and Andrew. It's a nice blend because Casey's with the Purdue University School of Agriculture, Andrew's with the School of Science. And so with the advancements of this program is funded under the Clean Water Indiana grant, we have a budget of $12,600 per year for our seasonal employees. We're eating that up with these 2 college interns and really turning it into more of a work study program. In addition to the work that they do outdoors on our restoration projects, the multitude of things that they work on with me in the office under the CWI for planning, they're doing posters. And so we hope that the poster is a little bit more, they did one last year for the fair, which was more of a regurgitation of what SWCD has always traditionally done. In this case, they're really focused in on 2, I put 2 outlines in front of you. Andrew's going to focus on water health, the implications of water health and wellhead protection. with land use practices, and Casey's going to dig into several areas of agriculture and its role in regenerative stormwater management. And we hope that, we're going to let these guys go with it with some guidance, and not only do the fair, but also participate in some other outings that we have in mind that I can go over. So we're asking the board for, just recognition. We have the $12,600, and that breaks down to a little over $6,000 per intern for this work study program. That really, I can't impress upon you enough how exciting it is to have them in there and see them engage. Andrews is the third year, Casey's second, and they were really superstars of the 4 that we had last year. The other kids, all the kids did a great job. Casey and Andrew were just really incredibly engaged and instrumental in a lot of the strides that we made. So we'd like to continue with that. As far as the Clean Water Indiana projects with our participants, I handed out an update. I created a spreadsheet. We're solid on our 50 acres now. Just pass these around. These are 2 additions that we have now. We have 12 acres across Route 2. It's county-owned property, which is the margin of the Kettle Lake. Across the road is a county-owned Kettle Lake. I've got more of them in here. There's 2 different ones in here that I'll speak to. You can just start passing those. So that's 12 acres. That starts with a contract with Tree Corps. I solicited 2 bids for selective understory removal, and over there it's pretty much all understory. There's not much in the way of overstory trees that are native hardwoods, but we're going to target all the invasive species, the early successional species, open the ground up so we can maximize biodiversity through our grant. So the steps are Tree Corps contract for $2,400. That's 10 hours on a FECON machine. And we're going to ask the board today if they would be, that comes through the MS4 budget, and that was approved through the Board of Commissioners. We're going to ask the Board of Supervisors today if they would consider a match of $2,400 on that, realizing that those monies are 75% reimbursable towards the restoration. And so what that does is it opens it up. So instead of 10 hours, I'll have 20. And I'm fairly confident after talking to 2 contractors, both Brian Mann, who, believe it or not, they were very comparable with their bids. And I always thought Tree Corps was pretty competitive. Tree Corps was at $240 per acre man hour on the machine, with a bigger machine that could cover more area. Brian was in a little bit more tactical machine at $280 an hour. And I just felt like Tree Corps had a little bit of the edge in my comfortability and that they would go further with the contract. So I said, okay, show me what you could do with 10. And then if we're happy, we'll keep more in the tank and have you do some more. So I would like to not exceed an additional 10 or $2,400 is funded through SWC. That's this 12 acres that was added across the street. The other one, which just came about in the last 2 weeks, was through some visioning with the folks who now run the Friendship Botanic Gardens up in the city off Route 12. They have agreed to do 8.5 acres right out front on their main drive coming in. Again, it's going to be understory management to open up the understory and the canopy for greater sunlight penetration. We're going to do a mosaic of leaving some native shrubs in there, but we're going to be aggressive, removing all the non-native invasive species. I'm looking at it and thinking there's going to be a tremendous seed bank that's been suppressed it's really, really choked out. It has been for years. This is something living in the area the last 20 years that I've been wanting to do. I just couldn't get their management to agree to it till now. So now under Jenny Lee and their communications people, they've indicated to me, yep, let's go forward with it. We're going to look at how we can maybe leverage some benefactors, maybe through Hitachi, some other private sector individuals on the mechanical work, and then try to leave some volunteer work, but we're really going to be aggressive about doing this fast, and so that we can both demonstrate and meet the timeframes on the grant. So those are two, that's an additional solid 12 and 8.5, brings me to 50. I know I said I had 50 before, I did. We had a lot more small projects that I don't want to say that they were not committed, but they were a little more wishy-washy and maybe strapped for cash a bit. And I felt like, let's just go with the total of 10 projects. We've got a nice mix here. We've got a nice mix between the two watersheds, Kankakee and Chicago. We also have a nice mix of small farmer participants, commercial participants, the museum, which is the Historical Society. Now we've got Hitachi, we've got the Friendship Gardens, and we've got some county-owned property. So that's our 50. I updated the spreadsheet with some status codes on here to make it easier to read rather than a long paper. And I can still give you the long paper, but I knew you'd be happy about that. So that probably, aside from a few education outreach things that I want to mention, Chris, and you let me know if I missed anything. Back on April 30, since I wasn't at the last board meeting, I really had fun doing a Where Does the Water Come From talk with Cub Scout Den. And it sounds like a little thing, but they really got me with the, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to become a den leader, but I told Greg Alberding, the bio teacher, anytime you want us to come in and talk to the kids, just let me know. It was fun. It was a blast. And so I did that back in April. May 7th, and I get an MCM credit when I do those things too. So I'm not going to lie to you. It helps us with our MS4 program. On May 7th, I visited the folks down at Purdue's local technical assistance program. I wanted to get to know them because I'm anticipating that the model ordinance that we adopted for our MS4 program is going to be updated. And I said, hey, is there any chance a guy like me could provide some input in the process? And I told them about my background. They said, sounds good. And I've been getting back and forth with emails. So on July the 8th, there is a stormwater drainage conference that's held on campus that looks pretty cool. A lot nicer than some of the other ones that I've been to. So I'm signed up for that to sort of keep that connection with them. And then Chris mentioned the speaker for July 9th. So no worries, I'll be here July 9th. After that, I'm not going to go to the second day of conference. We have the sustainability manager who's local for Hitachi that works underneath their global director. And so he's going to come in and talk about Hitachi and what they're doing for their sustainability program. His name is Ramiro Aguilar. I've been impressed with him. He's a up and comer. June 26th, we've got a call randomly. Chris fielded it. Long Beach Garden Club was established in 1933. This is a garden club that goes from stop 1 to stop 36, north of 12. I've been invited to give a talk about what homeowners can do for regenerative stormwater management in their own properties. So that gets us a chance to talk to folks right on the coastal area of the lake, in the Long Beach area. And Chris got a nice invite for a thing that I'd let you talk about, but you want me to mention it. It's the Stone Lake Family Beach Bash.
Family Beach Bash.
Right.
They're looking for, it's first year, so brand new. But they're looking for basically stations, hands-on. I was thinking the water quality.
Yeah, I kind of think, the interns are going to have these posters from the fair. Why not just a repeat of that and with our involvement a little bit more?
It's 4 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it would be perfect for them to be involved. I did ask, I came back with, well, is there any cost? That kind of thing. I haven't heard, but that was just this afternoon. I haven't heard back. But
okay, last thing that I have. So we were going to ask if that sounded good and get your guys' feedback before we committed to it. Last thing I'll add are kind of these odds and ends. Number one, Andy's not here, and I do want to mention Andy tilled. He voluntarily sprayed twice, tilled, and seeded our prairie around the building and did a fantastic job. I can just look at it and I know based on the way the temporary crop's coming up, It's even, not too dense, perfect, without compensation. Those types of asks, I should also mention, Phil Comita came up with his tractor and tilled it. I forgot about that. He actually did the tilling. Andy did the spraying and the seeding. Now, the 1.5 acres over at the museum, they have no abilities, trying to get volunteers to go out and do this work. So Andy did the first spray. He's not really comfortable about doing more there because it's just a commercial licensing thing. And so I do have Dune Landscape coming in for $300. They sprayed it. I'd like to hire somebody to seed it, which is also going to be a small amount. So these projects, I'm trying to leverage people, as you can see, to come in and volunteer. I'm trying to leverage other departments, and I've been successful at it. But now and again, the stars don't align, and $300 contracts, $600 contracts, falling within budget to keep these projects going, at least in the initial stages to get the seed on the ground. There's probably a total of 3, the museum, the work across the street, we're more than covered because we've got some help from the MS4 as well as the grant. But I just wanted to bring that up, that occasionally I've already spent $300 at the museum, that those are contracts that we really need to be able to do. And so maybe the board can say up to a certain amount, we're good with that. If it exceeds the grant amount, to leverage that 25% that we have to kick into these projects. We have 2 that were strictly done by hours and volunteerism by the owners, which is pretty amazing. It's just that that's not realistic. We're not going to get somebody to head out to the museum and work there for 4 hours. It's just, so we have to, from time to time, leverage from some private sector contractors to do that work. And that's all I have. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to partner agency, NRCS.
Kevin submitted their monthly reports. You can read at your leisure.
Purdue Extension.
After looking at this Casey's poster, we have a crop diagnostic training coming up at Penny Purdue in 2 weeks on June 18th. I saw she was doing something with cover crops and no-till, and they're talking about that there, so I didn't know if maybe she would want to attend, but if any of you are interested, I can get some flyers before we leave here today. But I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Kankakee River.
Didn't see anything.
Drainage Board has their meeting minutes in there. Extremely long. Must have been a long meeting.
Very detailed.
Yeah. ISDA.
Yeah, I got a few things. The 2025 cover crop tillage transect results are in. So that's remember doing that, Chris?
I
Back in
do.
March. So, yeah, there's just a graph of the tillage on those days, and the other side is the cover crop that we saw.
What are the results like from last year?
I did look at, yeah, I'm sure it's on the. And then ISD has their annual photo contest going on to the end of the month. If you want to submit, there's 4 different categories. Anybody photos. And then ISDA has been tasked with coming up with the ag portal. So there's a little survey we want you guys to take, or if you know anybody who's interested or has any information they want to share, what they want to see on this ag portal. Scan the little code, or there's also a link I can share that. I think I can put it up to you.
Sure.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Annual plan of work. Legislative breakfast coming up, and
what's the deadline for River Friendly?
Oh, it's coming up soon.
17th or something?
I'd say it's like the 7th or
Oh,
8th of June.
Yeah, if you guys have any River Friendly farmer nominees, you got probably less than a week.
Yeah, it's coming up.
I have one, but I can't, if somebody else can fill the form. Mark Parkman.
Oh,
that is a long time coming, actually. I wish I would have thought of him earlier, but I think that that's deserving. Do you want to try to, I mean, I guess I know how to do it, but and arguably it fits within my bailiwick, but not going to stop you if you want to fill that out. I'm okay. I'm okay, Chris. You can go. Go ahead.
You're always stopping me. All right, yeah, I'll work with him on it.
And now Mark knows he's being nominated because it's on camera.
It's probably tuning in right now.
Anything else? Public comment? Any public comment? We'll go to new business. County home, Kettle Lake margin match. That's a $2,400.
Yeah, so if I explain, so $2,400 was up to that was approved by the Board of Commission. That comes out of already appropriated professional fees and MS4. So it's a beautiful opportunity to marry MS4 with SWCD on that project. So we have that money, and I don't even know that I would have to use all of it. While I've got that contractor out there, I would like to be able to say, go, go, go,
Yeah.
if he's close.
We need a motion. A motion approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh. Anything on the question? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? CW budget for interns, that's the 12K, right?
Yeah, slightly over. There was an exact amount that I gave, let's say 12.6.
Yep.
Yep. 12.6. Yeah.
Just comes out of the part-time budget from the grant per year.
Okay, so this is coming right out of the grant? then,
Yes.
huh?
That doesn't mean that SWCD hasn't kicked into that, because remember SWCD,
We have a
you
commitment
have
to
a
it.
commitment to it, but
Yeah.
that's the overall budget.
Okay. Do we need to prove that?
That's,
I make a motion that we approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Anything on the question on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. County-owned property projects?
so if I could also speak to that, it's some discretionary funds when we need to hire for small contracts in the early stages of these projects. For instance, herbicide application, which we shouldn't be doing in-house, and contracts that require some larger equipment to get seeding and tilling done. So maybe a discretionary amount up to for those projects. And those projects I can identify for you. The museum out here, so county owned, and across the street. So there'd be follow-up herbiciding to do after the tree clearing.
What kind of budget number are you looking for?
You said
For
three.
this year, so if you're talking this year,
I mean, a budgetary,
like an overall, under 3,000 would get it. And if you want to do less than that, 2,400 be probably bare minimum.
I see nothing wrong with a $3,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I
3,000.
think go ahead and set it at 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think communication with you guys, letting you know this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
when we do it.
And if start getting close
Is
to
that a
number, let us
motion,
know.
Mike?
Huh?
Is that a motion?
Sure. I'll motion to approve. Yeah.
We got a motion to go up to
I'll
$3,000.
second that.
3.
Anything on the question on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need approval of claims?
I make a motion, we approve claims as presented.
And we need a second.
Second.
Anything on the question on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next meeting is the July 1st at 3:30. Any other business? we stand adjourned. Thank you much.
Thank you.